I don't know, where do I put my glass? I don't know where to put it. I need like a table. Hello world, welcome back to another video. I've never done a wave before, why am I waving? Today I am bringing you a tag video, but this is kind of a big deal because I've done a lot of tags in my day. But this tag I created myself together with the other three lovely ladies who will be hosting the Readathon of Kings with me at the end of April. For those of you who don't know, I will be hosting a Readathon at the end of April called the Readathon of Kings with three other Dutch booktubers, namely Daphne, Berthe and Lucy. If you're interested in participating in our Readathon, just a brief recap, it's going to be a 4-day Readathon. There are some challenges and kind of themes going on, but you're pretty much free to do whatever you want and to participate in the set things as much as you want to. I will leave all the information down below. We have a Twitter account, we have announcement videos, so please join us, it's gonna be fun. Anyway, to get everyone in the vibe, and with everyone I also mean ourselves, we created this tag video because we thought it would be a good idea to sort of spread the word about this readathon and also just to see what happens with our tag video. So I'm actually, while I'm telling you all this, I'm realizing that I'm not sure what we are calling the tag, so I'm just gonna text the other guys. So it's either going to be called the Readathon of Kings book tag, or it's going to be called the 12 provinces tag, because there are 12 kind of prompts or questions that you can answer with a book. So the first province is Noord-Holland, North-Holland literally, and the prompt is a down-to-earth book. Now, North-Holland is where I'm from. It's the place that I still call home, I think, even though I haven't lived there in almost 7 years. Wow, that's quite a long time. Wow, almost 7 years, oh my god. Anyway, all of these prompts, by the way, are kind of based on like prejudices and preconceived ideas of what these provinces are like and what the people in these provinces are like, because even though, you know, the Netherlands as a country is tiny, there is still quite a strong sense, I think, of like regional identity. So we kind of played into that, and just, you know, we're not trying to offend anyone. So if you're Dutch and you're watching this video, just, it's all in good fun. We don't, you know, we know people are nice everywhere, and Anyway, a down-to-earth story. I decided to go with The 100-Year-Old Man Who Climbed Out of the Window and Disappeared by Jonasson. First of all, because I haven't mentioned this book in any of my videos for a while, and there was this period after I just read it when I couldn't make it through a video without talking about this book because I liked it a lot. Anyway, the main character in this story, Alan, I think? Yeah, is such a like a practical, humble, down-to-earth kind of person. Even though he goes on like the most extravagant adventures, it doesn't really, like, he's not fazed by any of it. It just, he takes it all in stride and it's all completely normal to him. So that's why I decided to go with this book. Next up is Zuid-Holland, South Holland, which is the province where I currently live. The city of Leiden is in South Holland. And the prompt that goes with this province is a book set in a city, because there's this area of like big cities that we call the Randstad, which is predominantly in South Holland. Like most of the cities, Rotterdam, The Hague, are kind of in this area. For this prompt I want to go with Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I don't actually have a physical copy of this book, but you get the idea. So this book is set in Rotterdam, which is a fictitious adaptation of kind of Golden Age Amsterdam, which is kind of like, Amsterdam is in North Holland, so I wasn't sure if I should use it for this prompt, but I love how this city is almost a character in itself. It represents different things for different characters, and it's really well done. Like the language as well, it's not quite Dutch, but like it could pass for Dutch, just as Rotterdam isn't really Amsterdam, but it could pass for Amsterdam. So the next province is Utrecht or Utrecht, and the prompt that goes with that is a hipster book, because not so much the province, but like the city of Utrecht, which is the capital of the province, is kind of a hipstery, it has kind of a hipstery reputation. There's a lot of students who live there, and it's a lovely city, but it just, you know, that's kind of the vibe that it has. Anyway, the book I chose for this prompt is Milk and Honey by Rupi, Kaur, which may seem like a bit of a strange choice because it's a very sort of profound, real kind of poetry book. And most importantly, it's super mainstream now. But before it was super mainstream, I feel like it was quite a hipstery book. I feel like there are quite a few people out there who are like, I read this before it was cool. So the next province and the next prompt is Groningen. I'm looking forward to hearing people who aren't Dutch pronounce this. And the prompt that goes with it is a northern setting. Groningen is our northernmost province. It's not very northern compared to, you know, the actual north, like Scandinavia, but it is at roughly the same latitude, and yes, I looked this up, as Manchester in the UK and Edmonton in Canada, so yeah. For this prompt, I want to go with Northern Lights by Philip Pullman, because let's face it, I will use any excuse to whip out this book because it's gorgeous. But the concept of the North is also very important in this book, and very important and interesting things happen there. I also want to give an honorary shout out to Once Upon a Time in the North, which is a prequel to this series, and it's set completely in the north. So the next province is Friesland or Frisia, I'm never sure which way to pronounce it. And the prompt that goes with this is a book with multiple languages, because Friesland or Frisia actually has its own language, Frisian or Frisian. Maybe I should have looked this up beforehand. Fun fact, Frisian is actually, in terms of like language family trees, the closest relative to English. They're super similar because, history lesson, I've got to put this English degree to work, you guys. Okay, so you had like England. It wasn't called England at the time, but anyway, there were these like all these peoples and they were fighting each other and it was all a bit messy. So they hired mercenaries from kind of like Denmark, Germany, the Anglo-Saxons, and they came and they fought off the enemies and they kind of liked it, so they stuck around. But how it worked is that, you know, if you travel from kind of northern Germany, southern Denmark, to England, you kind of pass through the area which we now know as Frisia or Frisia. So, and obviously, you know, they didn't really, you know, take a plane or even a train or even a car or even a bike. They had to walk and like ride on horseback. So it took a long time, and along the way, people kind of settled down, and, you know, the language kind of evolved, and that's how Frisian was born. And then they crossed the pond and they landed in England and they stuck around there, and that's how English was born. Was that a fun lesson, or was that a fun lesson? The book I want to go with, sticking with the Germanic theme funnily enough, is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. Now this book is in English obviously, but it's set in Germany. And a lot of the kind of the terms and like the expressions that are in German have been preserved. I say preserved, it's not really the right word because I think it was written by an Australian author, I want to say. Anyway, not someone who is German as far as I know. But anyway, he incorporates a lot of like the Germanisms in there, and that's nice. Okay, so the sixth province is Drenthe, and the question that goes with that, or the prompt that goes with that, is a book that incorporates ancient history or mythology. The reason for that is because in Drenthe we have these dolmens. We call them hunebedden. Basically they're just these huge like megalithic tombs, probably. There is a lot of mystery still. Like the assumption is that they were graves, but it's not clear, and that goes for like every dolmen. There's a lot of mystery surrounding like their purpose. Anyway, I thought it would be appropriate to go with Mists of Avalon by Marion Zimmer Bradley. This is the Dutch edition, which is appropriate, funnily enough. And this book, this series, incorporates a lot of elements of kind of like Celtic mythology and sort of the more British Anglo-Saxon mythology, like the whole King Arthur myth itself, and it's not really one thing. It's very new agey in that sense, but yeah, I just thought it was the most appropriate book for this prompt. So the next province is Flevoland, and the prompt that goes with that is a book set in a made-up land, and the reason for that is because Flevoland used to not exist. There used to just be sea there, but the Dutch people kind of expelled the sea, like we pumped the seawater out and we created land, and now it's a province. That's just how we roll. For this prompt, I want to go with Down Station by Simon Morden, which I read in this ARC edition sometime last year, I don't remember when. And it features this very mysterious land that people access from a disused London Underground station. This is the first in a series, and it's been quite a while since I read it, so there's a lot that I don't remember and a lot that I'm not sure of exactly, but I am definitely looking forward to the rest of the series, or however many books there are going to be. Next is Overijssel, and the prompt that goes with that is a forgotten book. It's kind of a joke as well, because it's a part of the country that if you're not from there or anywhere near there, there's no real reason to like go there. It's a part of the country that is often overlooked. Anyway, the book I decided to go with is Eleanor by Jason Gurley. This is also an ARC edition, but the final edition looks exactly the same. It just has the title and the author name on the cover as well. This book I also read somewhere last year. It's a magical realism book, and it's this very kind of slow moving, quiet story. It's a beautiful book, and it's full of like ambiguity and ambiguous characters and ambiguous morals, but I haven't really heard anyone talk about it, not when it came out, not after it came out, so I feel like this book has been sort of skipped somewhere, and I realised that it's hard. Like, we sell it in the sci-fi fantasy section at work, which I understand, but I think maybe it would do better in the fiction section. I don't know, it's difficult to like put in a genre, which in my experience doesn't really help a book do well. But at the same time, those are often the most beautiful books, so. Next up is Gelderland, a book with a rural setting. Apparently, this is actually quite rare, because I was looking around on my shelf looking for a book that would fit with this question, and most of them feature cities. A lot of them are like set in New York or London or some made-up fantasy metropolis. I ended up going with The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. This book is about kind of the first generation of settlers on a new planet, and they basically have to create their own villages and their own cities, I suppose, as they go along. And definitely in this book, which is the first of the series, there is a lot of like sheep and country stuff going on, so yeah. 10 is Noord-Brabant. The prompt that goes with that is a story that incorporates culture and traditions. There's this idea that this province is like a little old-fashioned and a little kind of backwards at times, and just, you know, very big on tradition. I decided to use this prompt for my mandatory Harry Potter shout out. As you know, I include Harry Potter in every tag that I do because it's appropriate always. Ha! Not intended, but it was good. Specifically, I decided to go with the fourth book, The Goblet of Fire, because I feel like in this book, for the first time, we as readers get to experience wizarding culture, and not just kind of the British wizarding culture, but more of an international sense as well, because of the whole Tri-Wizard tournament, obviously, and the Quidditch World Cup. Before this book, it's mostly just Hogwarts that you see, and there's a bit of like Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley, but it's not really, you don't really get like a glimpse of what it's like to live your daily life in the wizarding world. And I feel like this book is the first one in the series that kind of explores that idea a bit further. Next up is Zeeland, which literally means Sealand. And the prompt that goes with this is a book in which the sea is important. The sea is important to me because I grew up on an island, and just because, I mean, a lot of people grew up on the same island that I did, but not all of them have this connection to the sea that I feel I have. It's just something that is like in my blood. I realize this sounds either super weird or super pretentious, but it's true. Tying all of the stuff that I just said together, I decided to go with this book. It's called The Mythe van Texel, The Myth of Texel. Texel being the island that I'm from. And it's sort of a short story collection by like 12 or 13 authors. Yeah, there's 13 stories and there's a poem. And they all draw on like local myths of like these mysterious sort of spirit type creatures that are possibly the ghosts of drowned men saving other people. The final province is Limburg, and the prompt that goes with that is a book with mountains. The story here is that Limburg is kind of the most like southeastern province of the Netherlands, and it borders Germany and Belgium. And like, this country is really flat because most of it we dragged up from the bottom of the sea ourselves. So mountains is not really a thing that we have, but Limburg is actually, like, that's actual real land that was already there. And it's slightly more, I don't want to say mountainous, it's slightly more hilly than the rest of the country, which is where the whole thing about Limburg being mountainous comes from, because it's not really that mountainous, but you know, you get the idea. The book I wanted to go with for this final prompt is Our Endless Numbered Days by Claire Fuller. Again, I don't have a physical copy of this. I read it last year, I don't know, maybe around the summer. And it's the story of how a father takes his daughter to kind of a mountain cabin somewhere in Europe, I think. And he tells her that the world has sort of ended and that their mountain is the only part of the world that still exists. I didn't love the book, but I did think it was very interesting. It was a very interesting kind of look at trauma and humanity and all that stuff. So anyway, those are all the prompts, those are all the provinces, there's 12 of them, that's not going to change. Well, I say that, in my parents' childhood, Flevoland didn't exist, so you never know. I hope you enjoyed this tag. I realised there was quite a lot of random rambling, but I feel like I had to give you a bit of a backstory on all of them because most of my audience is not Dutch, I don't think, so yeah. I'm gonna tag a bunch of people because this is my tag. And obviously the first person I'm going to tag is Sanne from Books and Quills because she is Dutch, even though she doesn't live in the Netherlands currently. I feel like it would be fun to sort of have someone who at least knows how to pronounce Groningen do this tag. I also want to tag Vanessa from Chbosky, Claire from the Book Fox, and Jen from Jen Campbell. I think that's just the name of that channel. In addition to that, I am tagging all my fellow Dutch booktubers. You know who you are. Do not ignore this video and do the tag. If I didn't tag you in this video, but you still want to do the tag, by all means, feel free. I would love to see other people do the tag that we created here, and definitely send me the result when you've done it. Alright, so that was really all I have for today. Thank you for watching, thank you for bearing with me. I hope you liked this video, and I will see you again next time. Bye!